All right, so
Sentencing
I
hearing
kind of
underway.
like that in a
No
way
victim
because
impact
you gotta
statement.
understand, right? I'm on the struggle bus anyway. I just don't front. So I just want to say I'm reviewing the Diddy case while I'm doing all this, and my dog is getting on my nerves because apparently he ate crack. I'm just joking, but he is like extra rambunctious, and it's because dogs can sense things, and ever since we got our FED approved, federal entry and forcible entry and detainer by the court in the country where nobody else lives on my whole block, and they're trying to evict me. So I am here with the dog. Oh, now he want to sit down. But as soon as I move, he's gonna come behind me. But I'm up here watching BJ, that surprise witness, report on Diddy. And BJ is the Howard Cosell of court cases. She ad libs so much and looks up so much other stuff. Like she's like if you ever watch OSU football is about the announcers. They are doing something in the booth. They actually have a soundboard, okay? Whereas other people, or it's something about their mics because something else, it just sounds different from other games when the announcers announce OSU games. And I don't know if it's like they make sure they hire them who will have, a great background, know a lot about the craft, whatever, or if it's just they're fucking around on the soundboard, right? So BJ is always excited. She's all over this Diddy case. But just to introduce it, some of the stuff is the judge has said that uh, the prostitutes, quote unquote, were indeed victims. It's funny because that's exactly what the guy from the country that we can't talk about. That's exactly where um, that's exactly what he said. He was like, you can't. That's what they got him on. They called the kids that he was recruiting from high school, and they're the people that was recruiting him. He called them prostitutes. The kids is prostitutes, and that's why it ain't no kids in Diddy's case because you can't pull that shit twice. Maybe not in New York. They let it go off in Florida, which is why Florida's so fucked up. Probably because you'll see that the places that do all this bullshit, especially the worse it is, the worse the sin, these places are never the same. Never the same. You should just move. If you see that your county, your city, or your state is being extra egregious to innocent people, you should consider relocating because you don't know what chastisement God is going to push down upon that place, and you'll have a better chance of making it at a place that has fairer laws. We need to start moving to a place that have fairer laws, laws that are as equitable and just as possible. Because we have some bullshit going on in the court system that is devastating to people, and it is devastating communities. You know what I'm saying? And you may not see it because you're at work, and you may not see it because you're at school, and you may not see it because you're running your business. But behind the scenes, that's what's going on. I mean, this is some outrageous shit that I've heard, just her say. But I'm here to talk about the D4VD thing because yesterday was my birthday, and yesterday was when it was being talked about. Like, why haven't they busted him yet? Right? Well, why haven't they busted him yet? Shouldn't they have busted him by now? And so I'm gonna go into why they haven't busted him yet. Because I too think that look, this dog, he done done so many holes that he can't. He fall in one trying to get over the other one. All right. So
For accepting responsibility.
somebody care about me. All right. So I'm gonna turn it down.
Because they don't even
You just
understand what
listening
they're
to
talking
people.
about. Content?
You gotta
Conduct.
go somewhere. You gotta go back
They
outside
consider
probably.
content.
You
Instead of
can't do this
conduct.
while I'm on the computer and stuff.
After discussing,
Going down outside.
discussing how the court
Go.
can consider conduct
Go
for
outside.
acquitted
Go.
charges in today's
Go.
sentencing, the judge noted how Diddy,
Nobody's giving you no extra snacks or nothing. Just to go outside.
by saying he was
I'm on my struggle bus shit.
and
So
not
why I'm supposed to apologize for how I look? I ain't even gonna come on camera.
for the charges.
It's just this one of the only ways y'all listen.
The judge said that he gladly
Y'all like visual entertainment, and I get it. All right. Let's look at this D4VD thing because
Diddy challenged his guilt full-throatedly. This means he might not. This means he's not
All right.
going to receive
because
any.
why hasn't he been busted? Okay. You know, David was who built he conceptualized the original temple. He was the father of Solomon. Solomon built the temple. Okay. And it's just a bit like all of this. First of all, yes, I do blame it on Diddy. I think Diddy's got his hand in everything. And anything involved in something like this, I think he's in it too. But it's my speculation. It's not true because obviously we have no proof, right? So, and I'm glad I switched up colors on y'all.
Who has more power than a federal judge?
All right, so you know me and my background noise. I'm about to switch it up in a second. Just give me a minute. I'll turn BJ down because we haven't. I'll just have to monitor.
The defense accuses us of
as she goes here. They had the cows out earlier, y'all. It's quite interesting when they bring out the cows. Okay. So this David thing, right? I started doing my research and I'm like, well, why does he spell his name like that? Because one day I thought I was getting it, y'all, and I started saying D4VD. And I'm like, because I thought it was D4VD, D4VD, Divi4Vidi, or something. I just made something up in my mind because it just does not click with me. While we keep looking at this little boy's name, and it is what it is. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, this is not making. It's not doing anything in my brain. Okay. So, you got that Solomon. Solomon had shed so much blood. I'm sorry, David had shed so much blood and trying to protect the Israelites from the Moabites and everybody else that was around them, that God would not let him build the temple. Why would he want to build the temple? Because this place, this temple, I don't know why he wanted to build it. Let me ask that question. Shut up. All right. Because what was his motivation? Because I don't think we talk about enough because this is just, we're all Christians, but nobody's saying this, okay? And that is that there is a rock inside of where they want to build the temple, okay? And that's why I guess it's supposed to be of religious importance who occupies the territory. But my question earlier was, do you really got to go through, how come you can't get along with the people that's there? Like, does your occupation of the territory, other than that actual space where that rock is, okay, the rock where Abraham sacrificed Isaac, okay, because that's this general region that they're talking about. Is that I already admitted that I can't deal with distractions. I'm barely able to keep my train of thought as it is. Okay, anything is a distraction for me, and I can't focus. So you'll never get this story in full. One moment, please. Come on. All right, then. These are all my phones. So please go forward. Y'all started the shit. Anyway, I swear I didn't know what a D4VD was. I thought I was the only nigga out here trying to make songs because they keep taking my shit down. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I tried to look it up because I'm like, why is he spelling it like that? It's fucking annoying to my brain. Okay. So, okay, back to the temple and the rebuilding. Okay, you can't rebuild the temple. Give me another second, y'all. That we never going to address disability discrimination in housing, then the Fair Housing Act was a farce. It was something that was done to give a perception of, equity in housing and that kind of shit. Because I'm going through it like I never thought. All right, so I ain't gonna be able to see shit with these glasses on, and that dog's gonna get annoyed. So, um, basically, why did Solomon want to have the temple built there? Why was it so fucking important to build a dome over this rock? Okay, and that's what the other people came in and thought it was the dome of the rock. It's supposed to be the origin point of the earth was where this rock is. Okay, but here's the problem: once all these people go in this temple, which they're only their own people, they don't think anybody else is going to ascend to heaven but their own people. Okay, so fuck the rest of us. Let's have this bloodshed and this all this upheaval over this rock in this area. But let's do all this to benefit none of you because this is only for us. Only our people are going to take these ashes from this entire process, mix it with some water and some incense, and distribute it among our people. It's just us. It's only for all this is just for one type of people or one person or one, I don't know, nationality who we can't talk about on social media and the nefarious people that we send into your country to fuck up your neighborhoods, okay, with the drugs and the things that Diddy did, okay. You're not allowed to talk about us, but we're gonna fuck you up, all to do this process so we can ascend to heaven. And so my question has been all throughout my research: why did God want this? See, Solomon had caused so much bloodshed. He wanted to be the one to build the temple, but God was like, "You caused so much bloodshed." Now, to me, for God to have said that, the implication was you could have did it a different way. Homie. You didn't have to do it like that. You kill everybody. And if God wanted it done, I'm sorry, because they say God has a plan, and then we plan, and God is the best of planners. So either this was contrary to God's plan, and Solomon did what the fuck he wanted to do. I'm sorry, David did what the fuck he wanted to do. Pardon me if I interchangeably mess those up. Or God had different intentions. He he had planned for it to go a different way, and David jumped and did it his way because was it that? Yes, David, because David slew Goliath. So apparently Goliath was the descendant of all these people that was coming against the nation of Israel. I'm just learning to put this shit together. I didn't know the shit with the knee bone was even connected to the hip bone. I had to do some intense research by asking these questions. Okay. So if it was Solomon who wanted the temple built, he got all the stuff together for David to build the temple. And he made sure David was brought up in a way where he wasn't around death and destruction. That's why David, I'm sorry, am I messing? Solomon's name partially means peace. Like we'll go through it. I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to see the bags under my eyes because I'm going through a bad time anyway. That's why my bags. So stop on. So anyway, right? All right. So let me skip down to that part. Okay, Solomon was not raised exactly like a red heifer priest, but see, there's some similarities. See, these priests, it's supposed to be four of them. We're on the 10th red heifer. Okay, and see, what's weird to me is they're doing it for everlasting life. They seek not to reach death by doing this process. But remember, it's only for them, only for the people who are in this thing. That's what these ashes are supposed to be able to. When you get a dosage of this ashes, and I've done the research, and if I can find it, I'll go through it. But you're supposed to not be able to attain death. And when I saw it written the way it's written in my research, I said that's when we're going to have zombies because it says they reach undeadness, and I'm like, bitch, that's zombie shit. That word in and of itself, the way the research made it be this time, symbolizes the undead. So if this is there a possibility, is what I'll say. I want to be a prophet. I want to say this is when we're gonna see the fucking zombies, but I ain't no prophet. So anyway, um, all right. Let's start. Let's just start from the top as much as I can, because if we don't, we'll never know that we got to all these parts. One moment, y'all. Gotta do some shit. All right, King David, around 1000 BCE, is central to the biblical story. It's central in the biblical story. In 2 Samuel 7, David wanted to build a permanent temple for God, but God told him that he was not chosen to build it, since he was a man of war with blood on his hands. So Solomon did all this for apparently the kingdom. I don't know if these people are getting oppressed. I answer those. I ask those questions later. So David's role. Instead, his son Solomon, which means shalom or peace. It comes from shalom, which means peace. It's shalom. Shalom. Okay? So Solomon Shalomo from shalom, which is peace, built the first temple in Jerusalem. David's role was preparatory. David gathered the materials, he organized the Levites, and laid the spiritual groundwork, but the actual building was done by Solomon. In Jewish thought, the house of David dynasty is tied to the Messiah, Mashikon ben David. In Jewish thought, the house of David dynasty, the dynasty is tied to the Messiah, Mashikon ben David, who, according to prophecy, will rebuild the temple in the end time. In Jewish thought, the house of David is tied to the Messiah, who, according to prophecy, will rebuild the temple in the end time. So they are looking for the dynasty of the house of David. because that's who's going to rebuild the temple in the end times. Okay? Now, this little boy David, D4VD, is a black young man around his 20s. They just reported yesterday that he never went outside. That's why he was a gamer, because he didn't have interaction. Like when he went into high school, they started homeschooling him. Okay, so he has something about those, and I don't know how his house was, but something about the priests that are supposed to prepare the heifer. They they are raised in homes which are elevated, and they don't get to go outside and play. Okay, everything has to be brought into them. Don't he look like a very like healthy young individual? I'm trying to share why perhaps they haven't busted him, because when they set you out to do these nefarious deeds, you hold no responsibility. This is why Diddy doesn't understand he's in trouble, because he feel like he got sent to do this by the same people that is holding the gavel, the same system that hold the gavel. His mind can't understand how he's in trouble for something they told him to do, and he just did it because he was told to do it, and he may have even been coerced and threatened himself. Because, but he's so far in, he can't come and say they told me to do it, because part of it is you're not allowed to say shit. And Diddy mad at everybody else because they saying shit, and he want to speak, but he gonna wait too late to pull his whole part. Instead, what Diddy doing is all this other shit that you see happening. I'm convinced within myself about my speculating self that he is behind a lot of the shit, the random shit that you seeing going on. It is a chaotic time in the world right now. And I really think him and the people that sent him out on us, okay, because we all feel under threat. All of us, because we don't like evil, and we've been talking about this shit. And he against everybody that talk about it. I don't care who you is. You say something. He was on the phone in that one circumstance. The girl didn't even know him. She knew somebody knew him, and the dude ended up setting her up on a gang, basically a GB, so that because that's what it seemed like. Like she might have been a worker, and she was like she started running her mouth, and the dude because that's the story only makes sense that way. Okay, so back to David is not getting busted in my speculation, in my guess, because he is so heavily associated into who sent him to do it. He a scapegoat. Last night I turned on the doohickey YouTube, and YouTube is almost like flipping cars. YouTube is almost like tarot. Let's call it YouTube tarot. And as soon as I turned it on, it was this left hand path speech going on about this man who was calling Azazel the scapegoat. If you're calling Azazel the scapegoat, then maybe David's a scapegoat, is what I'm thinking. As I'm saying is David a scapegoat? So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. Let me write it down. I forget. Azazel the scapegoat, and it said left hand path. You know, I don't know how many times L. Anyway, all right. So then, um, I'm saying, is he a scapegoat? So how can he be held responsible for something that they sent him out to do? And he's young, and he had a cover already. The story fit too much. It fit together like a puzzle piece, just in the right places and the wrong places. It fit together so that you never can blame him, but when the puzzle come together, it looked like he did it, but there's no proof. You know what I'm saying? There's no proof. There's no way to implicate him because you ain't got no proof nowhere. Plus, when the people who put the puzzle together did it knowingly that it was going to be a puzzle. They knew that the puzzle makers are the niggas putting the puzzle together, and they know it's going to end up looking like David did it. But see, all of them, including David, was told to participate in this puzzle. Okay. But the people that made it is putting it together like they don't, like they didn't have anything to do with its manufacturer. So he's not gonna get busted because they don't want him to get busted because he the scapegoat for whoever really behind it. And it's got so many hands, right? It's got cartels mentions over here. It's got, you know, possible immigration issues over here. I'm thinking to myself during the whole thing, how in the hell do you get so cool with the corner store dude that he let you see his security tape? Now, admittedly, I've never had such a dire situation occur, but if I did, I bet you the security tape, I'm not just gonna be able to go down there the same day. Like I'd have to schedule an appointment. The person wouldn't even want to stop their work to help me out. I'd have had to schedule an appointment at the least, at the very least. Okay, at the most, whatever, whichever one is appropriate for. Okay, so, but the thing is, how is David supposed to go on? Because did you just take and this is the thing, think about scapegoats. You got to check out Stephanie Sue over there in Rock Mango where she did this video where they had scanned this something. I think it was a calf over there in China somewhere. Some lady. I I don't know. I forget all of it. I forget how it went. Because when I see the word scapegoat, I'm thinking skin goat or skin calf, skin animal, sacrifice, red heifer sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? That's the logic I'm following. Matter of fact, let me get my card. I got a red heifer deck that I finished a while back. It's got the most cards in it of any deck I made, and I just tried to get guides on the red heifer. Now, coincidentally, even though yesterday was Yom Kippur, I have no mention of Yom Kippur in any of these cards. Okay, this is opening up to Epiphany alignment, revelation, and esoteric understanding, and Rosh Hashanah offering September 15th, 2025, new beginning. So it was the July one where they said they sacrificed. Okay. It was July when they said they supposed to have sacrificed. But then they said, we say psych, and then they said, we say psych again, we really did it. It's like, no, we ain't going to do it. It's like, no, we really did it. Children. Children should not be in charge of sacrificing. What do you mean you did it? You ain't going to do it. You did it. I'm just saying, like, is you really appropriate? If you go to psych and then say psych, double psych? What kind of shit is that? So anyway, y'all, I just don't think David's gonna get busted because I think he may have been one of these kids that is raised up in a certain way where he could be a temple priest. That's what I think. And I think that what he did is part of the temple sacrifice. Because think about the date when it was possibly done and how long they said she was really in there. And then her birthday is like, because you know this is my whole problem. You know, this case that we're reviewing today, right? It's October the 3rd. Need I say more? This case we're all sitting up here on video, okay? And the case leads me to believe that this guy he's involved in because of his affiliations, because I'm telling you, he was just like an underling almost. But he was like probably like to think in his mind that he was right next to him. He was probably an underling of the guy from the place that we can't talk about. Okay. And if he was an underling, he got those connections in science and genetics and biomedical sciences and things like that. So people's birthdays, People's let's think about this shit too, right? Like we got Doge, and Doge went through everybody's address. This was before the I don't know if the sacrifices for the red heifer had gone on before that or not. You got ice cream trucks in the hood. You got mass child you know, removals or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, that information would come out that way. Because who would sit up there and call themselves big balls and they're working in tech? And who would hire that guy? I can't even use my name, and my name is the name that who she shall not be mentioned. And I couldn't even use my name because they would be sitting up there on the phone at my job. This is how some of this shit started with me. They would make fun of my mother, and my mother was passed. And the supervisor would just sit up there and giggle and laugh and tell me to use a different name. And I'm like, bitch, I didn't grow with my mom. Like, no, bitch, I'm using my name. You feel what I'm saying? So this is how the shit would get started. And then you wonder years later, what problem she got with working? I've had people dressed in those robes, men that dress in them robes and shit, come in my car when I'm doing ride share and disrespect my name, my heritage, and everything. And I would be like, bitch, how you don't know about ISIS? And you used to live down street from the Egyptian pyramids. And that's when that was just a couple years ago. I started questioning reality. Like, how come he don't know who ISIS is and he dressed in them robes and in Jesus sandals? How he don't know who ISIS is? Bitch, 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 I'm your mother, bitch. Don't come for me for real. Y'all don't under this head. It's all something else, bitch. Oh God, you gotta get totally outside the people. That it's crazy. Anyway, y'all. The point is that D4VD, okay, is written that way because it is using the Hebrew alphabet, okay? And the Hebrew alphabet is like the Arabic alphabet in that it does not have full letters or full length representation for vowels. And just like on the Wheel of Fortune, vowels are worth nothing. That means in this language, we not counting vowels. He said vowels are every night. He said vowels are worth nothing, and consonants are worth whatever value they assign at the time. So in the sentence, David, the vowels are nothing. That's why it's only written in consonants and a number, and that number represents something. So in the Hebrew, David in Hebrew is just Dalet, Vav, Yod, Dalet. Okay? That's just, in other words, it's just being represented in four letters, but it's a 5 letter word in English. But in Hebrew, it's just it's a 4 letter word. Y'all know how they say 4 letter words are curse words. That's the thing that they throw at everybody. If you remove the vowel marks for the word or name David in Hebrew, you are just left with DVD. Okay? This is why David DVD is already in the natural Hebrew form. And then it says, so if someone writes D4VD, they're playing with that tradition, the tradition that it's already in the natural Hebrew form. And cutting out vowels like Hebrew already does. Okay? So he's written his name in Hebrew, thus more tying him into what my point is with this. All right. Okay. So the symbolic meaning of David is the gematria. And y'all gotta remember that this little girl, her name, her birthday, I'm sorry, and like I said, they know who these babies are. So her name, her birthday is tied into the symbology of the Virgin Mary. which comes into importance because initially they were reporting. I'm not sure what the story is because they won't keep consistent. So you have to pay attention to who's responsible for reporting this because they won't arrest anybody and they won't keep consistent. So now we have two states and two localities that aren't obeying law and their organizations are not being responsible. And we are all being led down this chase. Okay. Remember, Kangaroo came out a long time ago in this reader's reading, and I remember giggling my ass off because I'm like, why is this bitch saying kangaroo? Kangaroo court, where the law is not being obeyed in these courts. Okay. Only if you involve and pay these people off are you getting law, and then it's not law then. It's just you pay them off. All right, so the symbolic meaning of D4VD, the Dalet, or it's like this. It's like a R, but it's straight. Okay, the Dalet, and it's to the opposite direction that the R would be. So it's like this. I'll show you in a minute. Okay. I don't know. Can this turn around? I know it can. I just did something different. Let's see. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Okay. So the Dalet equals the number 4. So Dalet is the fourth letter of Hebrew alphabet. Its numerical value is 4 in gematria. That's why using the number 4 in place of the A in D4VD, it's not random. It actually fits Hebrew letter number symbolism. Okay? Once again, the Dalet, or the fourth letter of Hebrew alphabet, has a numerical value of 4 in gematria. That's why when you use the number 4 in place of A, such as when you're writing the word David, D4VD, that's not random. It actually fits Hebrew letter number symbolism, in gematria, Jewish mystical numerology. Okay, the Dalet equals 4. The Vav equals 6. The Yod equals 10. And the Dalet again equals 4, which is at the end. And that's how you spell David in Hebrew. The total of that name is 24, and 2 plus 4 is 6, which is how you do gematria. You always take whatever two numbers is and add them together so you get down to one number. So 24 is significant because the priestly divisions of the temple, there are 24 of them. And to reference that, go to First Chronicles 24. There are 24 books in the Hebrew Bible. Tanakh, Tanakh, Tanakh. 24 books in the Hebrew Bible. 24 priestly divisions in the temple. 24 is significant. The number David, spelled with the dialect, or D4VD, equals 24. By stylizing the name as D4VD, the 4 stands out, highlighting Dalet, or door, or pathway, or gateway. Dalet also symbolizes humility, a door that opens. This could imply David equals the doorway to divine kingship or temple restoration. Okay? What are they doing right now? They're rebuilding the temple. So once again, stylizing the name D4VD, where the number 4 stands out, highlighting the Dalet, or the door, or the pathway, or the gateway. Dalet also symbolizes humility, a door that opens. This could imply David equals the doorway to divine kingship and temple restoration. Now, why would somebody write it this way? To encode meaning. The number 4 is a conscious nod to Dalet rather than just English phonetics. Let me see if I can figure out how to change this one. Let's see. All right, so here we go with this. So y'all see this? Let me see if I can. know I can. I just don't want to do a whole bunch because I don't want to lose it. But anyway, y'all got that? I can only go along because I can't see my screen now that I can. But this is what I just read. I guess if you want to see it in slow mo, you have to rewind it or make it slow down. So this is David, and this is why I think he hasn't been arrested yet because he has been told to do this. Either maybe doing MK Ultra, his entire being may have been designed to do this because, like somebody pointed out yesterday, I think it was that surprise witness, is that they picked him up. They wanted him. Uh, something about they wanted him before, but I don't know. Just I think it's Universal he's with or Interscope. He's with Interscope. There's something about how they had wanted him before. Sorry, let me turn this back till I get to some other parts here. All right. So yeah, so that's that part there. And then you got see but my question is, it's bloodshed here. Just like David did bloodshed. But David was not allowed to be the one. Now you gotta think about the temple priest position here, okay? David is not allowed to be the one to build the temple. Okay. And you got to think about that in terms of the priests who do the service. Okay. When they're rebuilding this temple, the priests who do the service, they are not permitted to enter until they cleanse themselves. Except for this last one, I don't understand who's supposed to cleanse him. And then I'm wondering, will that last temple priest be part of the um, sacrifice? Because I don't understand how the last priest gets cleansed. Because I think I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I have questions about the last priest. We got a movie called The Last Priest that I can reference. All right. So you write D4VD that way to encode meaning. The number four is conscious nod to Dalet. It may be to echo ancient script traditions where vowels are absent or to mystify or elevate the name. So it's saying in ancient traditions, vowels were not there. That's deep, ain't it? My name is Sister. Anyway. Okay, so oh, that's wild. Anyway, to connect the person's identity with Davidic prophecy, temple building, and mystical Hebrew symbolism. So, in short, David never built the temple himself, but he prepared the way. Solomon did the building. Writing D4VD mirrors Hebrew consonant only writing and embeds symbolic um, numerology. Dalet 4. It highlights David as the doorway to the messianic and temple restoration promises. So what you're seeing play out with David might just be like Hebrew prophecy that they're orchestrated. And then let's see, break down the symbolic meaning of these letters. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right. So David couldn't build the temple because he shed too much blood. Okay. So David being David, you know what I'm saying? He might get away with it. And I don't want that to be for the sake of the family and actual victims. He says, Lord, okay, we're going through a lot in this world. We don't know. Just like the other week, I saw all those cargo containers get pushed into the sea. And I cringed because I'm like, are there people in there? Because you remember, I don't know if y'all remember when them port workers had quit or went on strike, they were striking because they kept hearing human people in those fucking containers. And this is after Homeboy gets, let me see if I can set this up because I can't afford to hold it right now and read cards at the same time. Too much going on, damn it. It's just too much. I'm gonna do the best I can. and they keep trying to knock me back down. Oh, so if it had the ability to turn on the side, oh, you know what? I'm a one-handed card picker today. All right, so David was actually called a man of blood. He was called a man of blood because he fought many wars defending Israel and consolidated the kingdom. And even though these wars were often righteous or necessary, they still left him symbolically tainted. The temple was meant to be, so he's David, and he symbolically tainted by the blood. So he's going around doing all these shows with blood on him and allegedly telling his people to come to his shows with serve with blood to come. And this was after we hear about the 764 thing. Okay, this is crazy. We had, golly man, we had a way better time to be kids. We did not have this problem. It was not. We had the Kelvin gang. I talked a lot about the Kelvin gang. We had the Kelvin gang, and that was it. So David was. The temple was meant to be a place of peace, shalom, and pure worship, not conflict. If you thought the foundation of the temple had to be laid in peace, not in bloodshed. So that's why David, for this is what's thing for her soul. We will sacrifice in perfect and symbolic. I'm going to be tonight. So David was able in the sense of preparation. He designed, gathered, and consecrated the materials that was forbidden from actual destruction. And you know, they got this thing in these Masonic traditions about this guy, Hiram Abyss, that was the temple building. And I think there have been many temple builders. And I feel like Solomon was a temple builder. Okay. And you know, he had a gem ring. He had a gem ring. And in this research, it says that he gathered some of these to help him. And I'm like, I bet you those was legit because he said he got what he wanted. It says, um, I know it's organized the Levites. He gathered, so David gathered materials, organized the Levites, and laid the spiritual groundwork, I guess was the that actually, but the actual building was done by Solomon. Mm-mm-mm. All this to have a place to worship God. And God came along later and said, all that's not necessary. I'm wherever you are. All that's not necessary. It's still whatever thousands of years later, we is trying to create bloodshed to build a temple. Is this not gonna render the same result as it did in the beginning? You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's see. Why Solomon is different if he was David's son. So why wasn't he tainted by David's voice? Because his name means peace, and unlike David, Solomon's reign was marked by peace, prosperity, and diplomacy. The nations around Israel were subdued or allied, so Solomon didn't need to fight wars. His dad came in and did the work, so you know I'll be questioning whether violence is necessary sometimes. I guess it is, but damn, man, right? I think me and God agree, like you don't have to shed so much blood, bro. Like what you doing? But I guess if that's how the people you coming against is, I guess I don't know. I'm not here to make that determination. The nations around Israel were subdued or allied, so Solomon didn't need to fight wars. The rabbis often say David equals sword necessary to survive the foundation, or Solomon equals peace necessary to sacred building. So God made a spiritual distinction between David's role and Solomon. David, and I'm gonna like produce probably this in writing later, and maybe I'll try to add it. I don't know. I'll do it in some creative way. But I'll try to name it the same as I'm naming this in case you want to see my research. Okay, because I'm not. Okay, God made a spiritual distinction between David's role and Solomon. David's contribution wasn't erased; it was redirected. He wrote songs, spiritual architecture. So this is David wrote songs. PSALMS. David wrote the book of Psalms. I didn't know that. All right. He set priestly orders in place. First Chronicles 24. And he amassed gold, silver, and cedar for Solomon. Think about that, because I think cedar is what has to be mixed with the ashes. I'm not sure though. So even though his hands were bloody, his heart was pure. Wow, that's deep. So God is saying, look, man, yeah, you got a pure heart, but if you have done too much bloodshed, I'm not fucking with you like that. Like you can still be my chosen, but I can't tell everybody I chose you. Because the lead example can't be bloodshed, okay? But his heart was pure. So scripture says David was a man after God's own heart. That's deep. That's why his dying. I didn't ever think about that altogether. Scripture says David was a man after God's own heart. That's why his dynasty, not Solomon's alone, was promised the eternal throne. Okay, his dynasty was promised the eternal throne. Okay, David. Let me read it again. So we talking about D4VD. Okay, Scripture says David was a man after God's own heart, and I'm not saying this boy is innocent. I'm saying I think this is what the woo is really about. That's why his dynasty, David's dynasty, not just Solomon's, was promised the eternal throne. Why didn't Solomon's inheritance of David's bloodshed matter? Okay, I feel like we kind of did that already. All right, bloodshed is not the foundation of God's house. The temple was meant to represent peace, holiness, and divine presence. But bloodshed was necessary for Israel's survival, but is it now? Like those people, I'm not sure we're doing this right. I don't think those people are trying to do anything. So like control your bloodshed desires. Because I think you're messing it up by doing it. Like, okay, I get if the people won't leave. Why do the people have to be gone for you to rebuild the temple? See what I'm saying? Now you the landlord again. And we're all getting evicted. So that don't make you look too hot to me, homie. But whatever, right? You chose to be the landlord. Here's the tension. Without David's wars, there may not have been a united Israel at all. David subdued enemies, secured borders, and created the conditions for peace. In this way, bloodshed was necessary historically, but not spiritually. God made a distinction necessary for the kingdom's survival, not acceptable for the temple's foundation. Why God drew that boundary? If the temple's holiness was supposed to stand apart from politics and war, if the same hands that held the sword laid its stones, the temple might symbolically become just another monument to military victory. Instead, God wanted it to be a place where sacrifice equals atonement and blood equals holy ritual blood from the altar, not battle blood, not mess with kids' blood, not like take it on forcefully blood, okay? Just blood equals holy ritual blood from the altar, not battle blood. It says that, okay? The doorway, Dalet, to his presence would be peace, not violence. Not violence. Why Solomon fit the role? Okay, it because there was some more better stuff. Blood as survival versus blood as ritual. Why the red heifer is different? The red heifer, number 19, is a paradox offering. Its ashes were used to cleanse people from the defilement of death. The priest who prepared it became impure by killing, which is what they have to do to make the cow. They become impure. This shows blood slash ashes don't erase death. They transform the way the community relates to it. The fact that people are still waiting for red heifers today reflects a longing for ritual purity tied to the temple system. The rituals, red heifers were temporary accommodations, not God's ultimate desire. The prophets suggest that the rituals, red heifer sacrifices, were temporary accommodations. So why are they still trying to do it? They're temporary accommodations, not God's ultimate desire. God tolerated the blood system because of human culture at the time, but his real intention pointed towards mercy, justice, and inward holiness. So why didn't he just say that from the start? That's some rabbis and theologians argue God worked with Israel where they were in the ancient world. Every nation had temples and sacrifices. Instead of cutting it off instantly, he channeled it into a system that could point to something higher. That's why later Revelation, prophets, and for the Christians, Jesus emphasizes a shift from outward sacrifice to inward transformation. God probably did not like the way bloodshed was being done. They just enjoying themselves out there. They is making a mockery. I should roll out there so y'all can see who out there. I'm gonna start doing that. Look, out there gunning their engine. The commercial break. Okay, you know how it's some people on YouTube that do commercial breaks, and when they do their commercial breaks, they tell me about their products. I'm about to tell you about my harassment for 30 seconds. Okay, so since I am being evicted in the country where nobody else lives around me, okay, for a situation that they call where they hold me responsible, okay, since they are doing that, then I have a lot more like people parking just where I am and other stuff that feels like harassment. Because in my experience, when you go through this, they start like all they do a 20. It's almost like you're getting constantly prevailed once the decision is made to evict. Okay. All right. So back to our regular scheduled program. So they outside just gunning a little Indian. You know, they used to wake me up like that. Like the maintenance man would come over here at 7 a.m. every day during the week, and like this has been since like March when they first decided to do my first ever inspection. You know what I'm saying? And they introduced this maintenance man, but before that, we couldn't get any maintenance done. But the point is, they wake me up at 7 in the morning, and so then after that, I don't know if somebody's out there or if I'm hearing, something else, but it just sounds like somebody gently pushing on their gas that we saw. But they got this one horrendous truck over here, honey. It got like 24-inch Dayton doing it or something, and it sounds like hellfire on wheels. And they wake you up at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. and then all of a sudden, when they get their way in court, you don't hear it anymore. It's so odd. I don't know what that's about. Hmm. That's the regular schedule from it. All right, so let's see. Any more in here about David? So do y'all see where I'm coming from now? It don't feel like they're gonna hold him responsible because if this, is any indication or if any part of this can be true, there have been 9 red heifers. Then they don't like they made him do this or set him up to be the scapegoat, which means you have nothing to hold anybody responsible for. It might not even be a real thing. I don't know. I just don't understand. See, you hear the, I don't know, there's somebody out there. I should go. Why you don't feel like it? I move slow, my legs hurt. I'll make a video later and I'll take a picture of it on my camera because my camera here sees it. And then I'll post it in my community. Be like, that's the car that was revving its engine outside while I was making my video about David and the red heifer. All right, so both represent purity set apart for sacred construction. David bloodshed could not build the temple. Let's see. There have been 9 red heifers. The 10th red heifer will be prepared by the Messiah, and that was always my thing. It says the 10th red heifer will be prepared by the Messiah. So in order for you to start selecting red heifers, you already knew who you thought the Messiah was. They started getting the red heifers in 2023. So since 2023, these people who are participating in this have chosen someone, selected and or identified someone who they believe is the Messiah. And they haven't told the rest of us. Don't you think it's so weird about the fact that you know who the Messiah is? You're not gonna tell nobody. My cousin Reggie, he could start fire with his hands. I guess I wouldn't tell nobody that shit. Anyway, the 10th red. Let me turn it around so you know I'm not lying. Because this is just the research. Look at what it says. That's it. The 10th red heifer will be prepared by the Messiah. So who's the Messiah, y'all? Who is the Messiah? That the 10th red heifer is gonna the Messiah already gotta be here and be of age enough. That means one of these four priest people that they chose, they think is the Messiah. Because the 10th red heifer has to be prepared by the Messiah. And to my knowledge, they haven't went through all of these temple little people that they got doing these heifers. That's why they faked this on the last one, or did they really do it? And is that person the Messiah? Can we get some information about who did the most recent ceremony? Who was the temple priest that did that one? Because that must be the person they're calling the Messiah. Is it Mike Johnson? Who is keep going over there? Because for some reason I believe he over here, whoever this Messiah person is. It's just my feeling. Okay. Now let's go back. Okay. So that's why modern groups are so intent on breeding them. They believe we're waiting for number 10. Well, if you a modern group that's so intent on breeding this 10th red heifer, then you also already know. And you must be in Texas that you know that this Messiah is here because this is where these red fucking cows came from, which will open the door to messianic times. The sacrificing of the red heifer opens the door to messianic times. Hmm. All right, let's move on. Before David, Israel was a fragile tribal confederation. Who was threatening Israel? The Philistines on the coast with iron weapons, constant enemy of Saul and David. The Ammonites east of Jordan, the Moabites east of Dead Sea, and the Arameans to the north, and the Edomites to the south. So wait a minute. Israel was surrounded on all sides by a threat. Well, why was Israel? How come they weren't threatening each other? Why were they just threatening Israel? I have more questions. I may have to do a part two. Okay. Israel needed saving because it was on the verge of being swallowed by stronger nations. Okay. Mm, okay. Let me see if there's anything else here. That's good. The deeper deal with Israel's establishment. So who's this Messiah, y'all? Anybody know? Put it in the comments if you know who the Messiah is. That has to be the deepest question anybody ever asked in the chat. Like, if you know the name of the Messiah, could you please put it down below in the comments? Is this why people really think it's the rapture? It's because they also know that the Messiah is here. Well, he ain't been on YouTube unless it was that one guy. But that one guy seemed kind of old because these temple priest people are kids. They're young. And does the which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do they know it's time for the red heifer to be born because the Messiah is here? Or do they know the Messiah is here because the red heifer was born? Because we're on the 10th red heifer, you guys. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody figure deal what I'm figure saying? All right. So the last card we pulled was West Bank Rehearsals. I claim in no way to be a tarot card reader. I'm pulling cards trying to figure out what the hell is happening in our lives, honey. And I wrote all these cards myself and did some research to writing. All right. So let's take this next one. I'll let y'all see. It is the number two. Okay, I'm not making fun because I really kind of respect. Okay, stone of it says stone of sacrifice. Well, that's what the thing is in the temple. Connected to Abraham's Akida, and isn't there an Akita movie? Akita and the something? Aquila and the bee. Okay. Connect the stone of sacrifice. It's connected to Abraham's Akida and the ritual purity of the site. Um, okay, well, that's our second card. Our first card was West Bank Rehearsal. Our second card is Stone of Sacrifice. And we're moving on with our research until such time as we pull more cards. All right, because we're just trying to get, who came first, the chicken or the egg? Can outsiders become Israelites? Yes. There was Ruth the Moabite and the sojourner who dwells. See, there are the 12 tribes of Israel, but they left out the 13th tribe. And I've heard that black people was the 13th tribe, the tribe of Shabbat, right? And maybe that's who was over here, the Moors, tribe of Shabbat. And because that at one point they say that the Ark of the Covenant was in Ethiopia. All right, let's see. There was no like skin color thingy going on back then, so we cannot tell who the tribes are by color. It is by religious practice. A house for God's presence, yada yada. Okay, so that's as much as I got on David and the rebuilding of the temple. Who are they calling the Messiah? Is my exiting question. Oh, yeah, whatever. You gotta love YouTube, y'all. That's the only place you're gonna get an analysis is on YouTube. All right, so let's finish reading the cards. What's funny? I joined this. I got in somebody's chat yesterday, and it was tarot for today. Oh yeah. So, secret timing is the next card that's coming out. See, when you start saying or you start getting close, because you got to think about it, it's true. They are not busting this boy. They ain't holding him responsible. It's swatting incidents going on, and all they doing is sitting up there, letting his stuff. Thank you for sharing. Um, all they're doing is sitting up there, and maybe this will make more people make comments too. I love it. So, secret timing, the dates known to few and hidden in calendars. So, I mean, like I started hearing that people were selling their cars for $10,000 and all of that, and I'm like, man, that's deep, right? I'm still here to car. Well, they have MK Ultra and all that shit. Whatever I got, big homie. You know what I'm saying? And you just prove everything we say about YouTube. You know what I'm saying? This is all a game too. You probably work for it, big pimpin'. Anybody that can maneuver their little title like that, because when I do shit on the internet, they ask me for an ID. So you rolling around, you ain't got to show your ID. You really think you don't feel coming up on my shit? You really think it? And you calling me the one with the problems, but I bet you wouldn't fucking Dr. Phil dumbass. Anyway, March 21st, 2025. This is why people like do not exist. Because they roast your ass. You know what I'm saying? They roast your ass. I'm just like, I'll send this to my I give a fuck department. March 21st, 2025, Shabbat Hara potential. And we have been talking about people that have I talked about the car. I didn't even see that kid comment before I talked about the car. And now I'll go back and I'll review. We'll see. All right, because it'll tell me. So if it's 12:13 and I've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes, then I started about, let's see, what, 11 o'clock, 11:03. So so thanks everybody for checking in. We got March 21st is Shabbat Parah, potential symbolic laying of the cornerstone on March 21st, 2020. All right, and then we are at 4 cards right now, and I'm having to do this Hollywood shuffle over here because. All right, hold on. Let me shuffle one good time. So if y'all been following my whole thing today, then you know what I'm saying. They do not like when you answer them. They really cannot handle it. It don't matter how poor you are. You could be out in the middle of the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like really having problems talking about them. And they really mad. So that's the kind of comments they make when they mad because they want to try to make it seem like you the problem because you are catching on to what is really going on. And even one person saying something, the more regular you are and you saying something, the more you can wake other people up. That's really what I feel like that is. All right. So they try to benefit off of making you, just making you look bad or whatever. All right, give me one more shuffle here, y'all. And like I said, the karmic, the karmic readers, the karmic readers on YouTube, um, they are, what was I gonna say? They tend to all do some of the same stuff. I really forgot my point. So let me pull my next card. I don't know if okay. All right. So that should be a good twist. All right, we got the next one being uh public and hidden access. 2 layers of ritual, visible and esoteric. See what I'm saying? So you got one ritual actually happening over there, and then you got this like esoteric ritual that I think we seeing play out on YouTube and in the media. And I don't believe a fucking thing TMZ says. They ruin their credibility with people when they couldn't report on the Diddy case. They were reporting on the Diddy case like they were involved, like they were complicit. And I can't, I don't think I respected them before. I'm gonna just be all right. Disqualified heifer is our sixth card that we pulled, but we pulled these like out of order. Disqualified heifer says July 8th, 2025. Rehearsal highlights imperfection and scrutiny in sacred rituals. Okay. That's the one I believe where they were saying they did it in psych. It wasn't. We were just doing practice. But remember, I think this first card came out and said West Bank rehearsal. Okay. It says ritual practice sites, imperfect and symbolic. So they did a fake ritual on the West Bank for rehearsal, and it was with the disqualified heifer on July 8th. It was a rehearsal and it highlights imperfection and scrutiny in sacred ritual. So I'm gonna move this one over here because this is how I'm gonna do it. Okay, stone of sacrifice, public and hidden access. All right, 2 layers of visible. Yeah, so there's a ritual going on. I think over here too. Let me get another. Let me get another quick. What's up, everybody? I like it better like this. I'm goofy. God bless you. You know, if you was going through this, sweetheart, who knows what we would call you on camera? and you couldn't handle it. That's the whole thing about it. You couldn't handle it. You wouldn't be here halfway smiling and telling a story. So I feel very blessed that God has put me here, and I thank everybody on my page for their positivity. Mhm. I ain't gonna block you. All right, so we got these cards, and I'll show a picture of the cards at the end. I might even take a screenshot so that you can know what came out. I'm not a tarot card reader because I can't deal with y'all. Y'all for real. Y'all tight. Y'all tight work. Man, when somebody do something, I give it to them. All right, Epiphany alignment, January 2026, Revelation to the world. So they're going to reveal to the world on January 2026 that it's been this epiphany alignment, probably to do this process. So I would expect it to happen between now and December, and I think that's why you got, isn't it? It's seven. It's seven different comments coming, right? Uh, that are glowing green. I got two more cards, and then we done. Probably like 3 more minutes. Let's see. All right, so we got hair of ripple. Oh, I can't see. Oh my God, why is that doing that? Give me a second, y'all. See if I can make it stay on this one. All right, my bad. I don't know why I didn't think about this eon ago. Imagine the same people finding it. Like, something's wrong with you. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, bitch. If you were around bothering people all the damn time. All right, so this is my on my. Okay, so well, all right, so this one was hair of ritual, and I don't know what the hell that means. And that's all it says. Children and his knowledge is the heir of ritual. Okay, so that could be about D4VD. Like his family could be into this. So heir of ritual. Last card is going to be all right, so we got West Bank rehearsal with a disqualified heifer, Solana, and on the stone of sacrifice of the public and hidden access. 2 layers of ritual visible and necessary, and secret timing, which may be secret timing, and March 21st, 2025 was far. You know, it's weird that y'all before it didn't like get produced in my car. It wasn't my house, but it was just literally yesterday. I feel like on purpose it did. I'm gonna ask for some supplemental, like a supplemental aid to this deck. I'm gonna research that. All right, this is my last card. I'm gonna take the card in the top. I'm gonna take the top of nothing. I'm gonna look at it. Next week. Sean Collins book is a speaking engagement starting next week, assuming a short prison sentence. Ah, they say fake it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? Act like you wanna what you wanna be, you'll be the way you act. He took that to the thing, didn't he? Arguing for a lenient sentence. I don't know if they sentenced him yet or not, did they? All right, the last card is six. Okay, let me show y'all that. The last card is six. And Tikva is the report it had for on July 1st, 2025. Yeah, embodies hope and radiance. Wow. So yeah, indeed. All right. So I'm just gonna take a picture of this. And I'm pretty much concluding here. Thanks for checking in with me and on this D4VD kind of thing. And you don't know which way we're going. I'm sure we'll know when we get there. One moment, please. All right. So that's our final. All right, that's the final. That's what we're ending up with. So I thank you all for tuning in. I really do appreciate your time and whatever you have sacrificed to see what's going on here or to try to even read these for yourself. I don't play, this may mean more to you than it does to me. Feel free to add in the comments if you got any ideas on what we're dealing with, what we're looking at. Why haven't they busted this young man? You know what I'm saying? What is all this about? How can it be all for just one people and exclude the rest of us? You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be involved with anything nefarious, but certainly, it shouldn't just be for some people. I don't think so. So these are all our cards here, and then I will be closing out. And I just thank everybody for tuning in that has. And if you can help in any kind of way by pressing like or by subscribing, I appreciate it because hopefully it helps me in the long run. I mean, my my cash app is what it is. Let me put the cash app up real quick, y'all. This is if this is the same channel. Let's see here. Well, on the other one, you can do banners, and I don't see banners on this one. Let's see. What is that? Oh, no, I don't know what you're doing. I have no idea. It looked like something changed, but I don't know what it was. Mm, yeah, over there going on. That surprised women. Yeah, I don't know which one this is, guys. Sorry, but I don't have my normal banners up here, so I really don't know how this even is going out. But my cash app is $ ICEDBEATS Ice Beats. And yeah, if you can donate a little bit, I appreciate it. I gotta figure out how to get up out the country. You know what I'm saying? About the country, the middle of the country is where I live, that I'm getting evicted from because they don't want me to live anywhere. So apparently this is the Gaza Strip, and I'm being evicted. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like why? There's nobody living around me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody lives out here, and you're still trying to evict me. And this just makes me feel like these people don't want me to have anywhere to live. For some reason, they don't want me to have a place to live because I fit in all the parameters of law and justice, and they are holding kangaroo court out here. So I really don't know what's going on. I have submitted everything I could possibly submit, and I could just pray that things go the way, a good manner. All right, hit the like and hit subscribe and check me out over on SoundCloud, where if you go to AISIS or if you check me out as DJ Isis Beats or Ice Beats or Isis being spelled ISYSS, just click on something and like it. And I also have a book on Amazon. The book is called The 12 Keys of the Emerald City. And it is a children's coloring book, and you can actually read it for free on Kindle. But to produce it, you would have to buy the coloring book and or you know, I don't know if Kindle can print, but I guess you could do that too. Or you can just click on it on. Try to do it on the way that helps me. If you're gonna patronize, I appreciate it. All right, have a great day, everybody, and hopefully I won't be back because that means everything's cool. And if I'm back, then I feel either a little watched or under threat or just not comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So right now we are recording for the purposes of safety, not just entertainment. And I think I've been doing that the whole time. All right, peace out, y'all. One.